How do you know if a book is good? It's kind of a useless question, really. I mean, I know every book has its 5-star reviews and its 1-star reviews. Your favorite book of all time might be somebody else's least favorite book of all time, and vice versa. And it makes sense because we're all trying to get something different from our reading experiences. There's nothing wrong with that, and there's no need for us to come to an agreement. But I recently came across a metric for measuring how good a book is, and I thought I'd share it with you in case you're curious about these kinds of things like I am. Now, when I say metric, don't worry, it's not really going to be sciencey, but it does have a fun acronym, the TRDOL PSI. The TRDOL PSI, the turtleopsy. But let me back up and explain where this comes from. So in this series, Reasons to Read, we've been talking about, reasons you might want to read books. In the last 2 videos before this, I've been quoting from Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451, and today also I'm quoting from Fahrenheit 451. So I won't go over all the context, but just know at this point there's one character talking to another character about why books are important. And he says, "Do you know why books such as this are so important? Because they have quality." And what does the word quality mean? To me, it means texture. This book has pores. It has features. This book can go under the microscope. You'd find life under the glass, streaming past in infinite profusion. The more pores, the more truthfully recorded details of life per square inch you can get on a sheet of paper, the more literary you are. That's my definition anyway. So there you have it. That's where I get turtleopsy, TRDOL-PSI from, right? How many truthfully recorded details of life can you fit on a square inch of the page? Now, obviously, it's not meant to be used as a real metric. You don't want to be getting a ruler out. But let me break down briefly what he's saying, and then I'll let you go so you can hopefully get back to reading, and so I can get back to reading instead of sitting here in front of this microphone. When he says truthfully recorded details of life, that doesn't mean facts, okay? If that were true, the most literary book you could get would be a high school history textbook. It also doesn't necessarily mean it's got a lesson at the end of it where, a fable or a parable is the highest form of literature. So what does it mean? What does it mean to truthfully record details of life on the page? And why would that be important? Think outside of books for a moment. Think about your favorite song or your favorite movie, or even, let's go with this one, even your favorite comedian. And maybe you don't have a favorite comedian, but think about a time somebody in your life, whether a professional comedian or just a funny friend, made you laugh. And I'm no expert on comedy, but the best comedians are the ones who help you see real life, in a funny way. Like a John Mulaney talking about how frustrating it is to fly and then have your seat get bumped and have to stay in a hotel with a voucher that doesn't cover it. You laugh because of his delivery, but also because you're like, that's real life. That is what it feels like to be alive. Now, pivoting back to books, my favorite books all, pretty much in hindsight, whether they are fiction or non-fiction or new or old, at some point while I was reading them, I was like, whoa, that is me, or whoa, that is somebody I know, or that is just how the world is, isn't it? And I hadn't thought of it that way before. That's one of the main reasons I like to read. The more frequently I stop to put a little star next to a line because I'm like, that is so true, the more I tend to like the book. And the books that aren't so good, which I don't talk a lot on this channel about books I don't like so much, just because I'd rather stay positive, rather be a Guy Fieri than a Gordon Ramsay. But those books I read that I don't like, they don't really touch life. And I don't even mean a book has to make me think. I'm not trying to say, a good book has to be something that has philosophy through it. I think you could run into that dangerous, lit bro category where anything that is not very dense and difficult to read all of a sudden is not worth your time. I don't think that at all. But when I read a book and it has no texture, like Bradbury says, if when you put it under the microscope, all you see is the pulp of the paper, there's a thin plot, there's thin characters, that's when I don't care so much. And the nice thing about this metric is it explains why I like all sorts of books, why I really enjoyed Walden and Meditations. Also why I enjoyed fiction books like Dandelion Wine, or even something like Jurassic Park, which the movie's also phenomenal, but the book is great. Jurassic Park talks about the whole idea of pushing boundaries. Should we go ahead and do that thing? It's also just a kick-butt book, dinosaurs, but it's got texture. That quality where I can look down at the book, and then I can look back up at the world and I see something different now. And that's the reason that I love The Wind in the Willows, or A.A. Milne's essays, or Winnie the Pooh, or the Fran Lebowitz Reader, or the Brothers Karamazov, or East of Eden. So I'm talking now and actually got myself excited to read. It's a Saturday afternoon while I'm recording this, and I am ready to go read. So I'm going to leave you there. I don't know if that's an okay conclusion, but I'm done. Go find yourself a book that's got some turtleopsy, a high number of truthfully recorded details of life per square inch, and whatever kind of book that may be. I hope you can look down at that page, put it under the microscope, see the texture, and then look back up at the world and see something different. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.